with their family is a really key component to strong advocacy for that client.
So this is basically extraordinarily relevant information. You know, if the courts are to administer justice, as we understand it, this is extraordinarily sensitive but important and critical information in which the court needs in order to make whatever rulings are appropriate.
Absolutely.
And it's important for an advocate to know who their client is, obviously, and what their client is facing, and where are the pitfalls and the traps in the system. So, you know, what's happening to youth in detention centers, what's happening to youth, so the advocate can explain that to the judge, and an appropriate ruling can be made.
Absolutely.
So basically, it's just making people more aware.
Right. I think we fall into this trap of thinking if we treat everyone the same, that means we're giving everyone the treatment that they need. And really, by not asking these questions and by not knowing who your client is, you're making some assumptions that maybe you didn't realize you were making about what they need.
And you've said it already. I think it does need to be underscored. We're talking about kids. We're talking about kids who have been traumatized and then are put in a court setting, which is traumatic in and of itself. And it's so critical with respect to the welfare of these kids that the system works and treats them with respect. Otherwise, no matter what happens, it's a bad result.
Exactly.
So it's great that this is being done. So the training is being done also for the attorneys as well?
Yes. So we had one training for the Juvenile Bar Association at the annual conference, and we're open to more. We have a really great curriculum. I think for us, we wanted to make it interesting and engaging and something that you could actually take with you and learn from and share with other people. So we're open to anyone who wants to bring in folks to do some training that's really specific to attorneys or other folks who work in the courts.
Yeah, I've seen some. We saw some of this training. It was quite remarkable. This was a lot of fun. They take a vignette from a TV show,
right,
like Glee or whatever, and then they show it, and then they say what the situation is and what's the appropriate thing to do.
Yeah, and we're building in some interactive role playing and that sort of thing. So it's a fun experience, but I think it really does highlight the realities of what it's like to be an LGBTQ young person in the court.
And then you mentioned, and well, I should say to our audience, obviously a very critical issue facing our society. The LGBT youth homeless and their interaction with the court system. I invite you to call in. Our number here is 617-708-3290, 617-708-3290. So now, you said, I think the second prong was resources.
Yes.
And when you say resources, what do you mean by that?
We mean both written materials that the task force is putting together, so everything from handouts about top 10 tips for how to interact with an LGBTQ client, to who to call if you have bigger questions. And so that's the written resources, but then also kind of making the resources that are already available, making them known to other people. So the task force is working with the LGBT Youth Commission and other agencies that are coming up with this mapping initiative. So we're trying to put together every single LGBTQ youth-friendly resource in Massachusetts. And ideally, you'll be able to search on a website for resources in your area, whether it's mental health counseling or a youth group, or a homeless shelter that's LGBTQ friendly. All of these things will be available in one place so people can know where they can go. One of the problems that we see is young people being detained because they're not sure where else they can go that's actually safe for them. So this is actually going to hopefully help with that as well, to make those resources that are already there just known to a broader audience.
Bring all the information into one spot, make it readily accessible to all the actors in the system.
Right. So, which is a big problem right now.
So, but that's being rectified.
We're working on it, yes.
Good. And then the final issue, the third prong of what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's policies and procedures. So we're so fortunate to have these stakeholders who have real power within their own organizations that are sitting at the same table and sharing their best practices with each other, which I think having this committed group of people who are really want to make an improvement in the quality of the life of an LGBTQ young person, regardless of why they're in the system. I think we're starting to see some cross-fertilization of good ideas. We talked before about protocols or the lack of protocols, and we're starting to develop these kinds of written expectations for these different entities that are interacting with youth, which I think can really go a long way. A training is a great thing for one time and one set of people, but with turnover and different people with different interests, it's really important to have things institutionalized and written down.
Yeah, so people, you can have training 5 years ago,
Right.
and then you forget that. It's great to have protocols written somewhere that you can access and say, oh yeah, this is the way I approach this issue. So, and as you said, people from different aspects of the system, be it the DA's office, the probation department, the court officers, the social workers, and all the attorneys for each of these different agencies, all gotten together, and they're basically trying to write up and sharing similar experiences and protocols.
And there's community advocates as well who are really pushing for the most progressive and the most the strongest policies that we can create, which I think is really helpful to have the synergy between government stakeholders and community advocates as well.
Yeah, I like to put in a plug for Boston CASA.
Yes, please.
Because Boston CASA is court-appointed special advocates, of which I'm president of the board, and we had protocols in our training program for volunteers who come into the court system to represent abused and neglected children in the court system. And I was happy that those protocols were able to join the other protocols that were in existence and be shared.
Right, this is exactly what we hope to see, is that other folks can see what Boston CASA is doing and try to adopt, rather than reinvent the wheel or be afraid to do anything, to actually take what's working and put it into new environments.
So where is the task force now? At what stage?
So the task force has been around for a few months, and I think the goal is for us to go through a few more months of developing these kind of written materials and really get the word out about the training opportunities that are available. I think we're building connections between the prosecutors and public defenders and judges so that those relationships can be longer lasting. The task force is designed to be kind of a short, really intensive experience, but then hopefully continue to have these kind of more collaborative relationships.
Which is great. And again, to go back to your original point, it is truly amazing to see the synergy, these different groups coming together. And they all are coming together because they all see this problem. When I use the word alarming, I mean alarming. It is an alarming problem, and all these different agencies, unfortunately, have seen it. And what's good about every agency is everybody has sent a representative, and everybody is involved and very concerned.
I think that's the one thing that really does give me hope. With all of these statistics and all of the really negative experiences that you see, seeing people who really genuinely care about making change within their own organizations, I think is something that we can be really proud of.
Yeah, I mean, Boston and Massachusetts is a wonderful place to live. It is sad that this problem, there is such a problem that we have, but it is, as you say, an amazing thing that all these people from all walks of life come together to make it a better place. Yeah. Thank you, Erika. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and telling us about this. And thank you, audience, for tuning in to Legal Lines, award-winning Legal Lines, I should say, brought to you live the third Wednesday of every month. My name is Tim Lynch. Please tune in to our next episode, which I think is December 18th, for our next episode of Legal Lines. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving.